What would it be like to have to move your sanctuary every time you moved? Let's talk about it today on Daily Prayer. Hello and welcome to Daily Prayer today. Glad that you are with me. I'm the Reverend A.J. Ochart. My pronouns are he, and him. We are working our way through the gospel or the scroll of Numbers, currently in Numbers chapter 4. So let's go ahead and get started. First with our beatitude for the day. Blessed are those who hunger for earth's oneness, for they will be satisfied. Join me in a prayer for awareness. At the close of day, as busyness fades, as light dims, and footsteps soften, we open again the inner door of our being to enter stillness, to feel our way in the dark to you. The silence from whom we are born, the name before names were spoken, the love of life's beginnings. At the close of day, we come. I invite you to be still and aware in a centering breath prayer. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Our reading for today is Numbers chapter 4, verses 21 to 33. Listen for God's word to speak. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Take a census of the Gershonites also by their ancestral houses and by their clans from 30 years old up to 50 years old. You shall enroll them, all who qualify to do work in the tent of meeting. This is the service of the clans of the Gershonites in serving and bearing burdens. They shall carry the curtains of the tabernacle and the tent of meeting, with its covering, the outer covering of fine leather that is on top of it, and the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the hangings of the court, and the screen for the entrance of the gate of the court that is around the tabernacle, and the altar, and their cords, and all the equipment for their service, and they shall do all that needs to be done with regard to them. All the service of the Gershonites shall be at the command of Aaron and his sons, in all that they are to carry, and in all that they have to do. And you shall assign to them as duties all that they are to carry. This is the service of the clans of the Gershonites relating to the tent of meeting, and their duties are to be under the oversight of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. As for the Merarites, you shall enroll them by their clans and their ancestral houses, from 30 years old up to 50 years old. You shall enroll them, everyone who qualifies to do the work of the tent of meeting. This is their duty to carry, as the whole of their service in the tent of meeting, the frames of the tabernacle with its bars, pillars, and bases, and the pillars of the court all around with their bases, pegs, and cords, with all of their equipment and all of their related services. You shall assign by name the objects that they are required to carry. This is the service of the clans of the Merarites, the whole of the service relating to the tent of meeting, under the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. All right. So now we are talking about some more backstage crew, right? So we talked about yesterday the Kohathites who were responsible for carrying all the stuff that's inside the tabernacle. And now we hear about the Gershonites and the Merarites who are responsible for carrying all the tabernacle itself. I ended with sort of talking about the people who are behind the scenes in our worship services, right? And there are so many people who are behind the scenes of so many things. So you may know that Louise, my wife, is a professional stage manager in theater. So anytime you go and see a show, every time you go and see a concert, every time you go see a play, whatever it is, there are dozens, if not hundreds of people behind the scenes to make that all happen. You see the actors, right? You see the people who are presenting, and the very fact that you see them means that there's usually, unless you're, doing Shakespeare in the Park, there's lighting on them. And there's somebody who designed that light and hung that light. And you've got a stage manager who is making sure the timing for that lighting is just right, comes at the right time to sort of bring about the right emotion or set the right mood. You've got a light operator who is pushing the button to make sure that that thing happens that was then programmed by the lighting designer. You've got a set that was designed by someone. You've got the people who built that and painted it and made sure that it happens. You've got backstage crew that are making sure all the props are in the right places and the cast has what they need. You've got the person who wrote the play. You've got all the editors and the people who are responsible for that. You've got all of these people behind the scenes that do all this stuff that you maybe didn't even think about. And that is the case for this, the moving of the tabernacle. So again, the tabernacle, literally it means tent of meeting. These are a nomadic people at this point. They're going to be wandering around in the wilderness for a long time. And as we get into the, more fun part of Numbers, we'll see them moving by stages all around. And something to keep in mind is that every single time they pull up stakes, literally, and move to the next place, there's all of this work that goes into it to make sure that this tabernacle, this tent of meeting, which is God's presence in the very center of all of these people, to make sure that that happens. So you have these two, sub-tribes of Levi, and they are responsible for all of the sort of soft goods. This is all of the curtains. And again, there are, I believe it's 4 different layers of curtains that make up the tabernacle. There's sort of usually a blue, and then it's leather, and then it's red, and then it's white is what I remember. So there are these huge sort of things of fabric that then drape over all of the poles and everything like that. And so there's all of these curtains. There's the tabernacle itself, but then there's also sort of a shorter barrier, like almost a picket fence sort of situation that creates this sort of area around the tabernacle where those sacrifices and everything can happen. So all of that stuff has to move. So between these two, they have all of the Gershonites have all of the curtains, the multiple levels of curtains, all of that stuff. And then the Merarites have all of the hard goods. They have all of these huge poles, and these things are like, light poles. What are those called? Electrical poles, almost. Like they're big chunks. They're logs. They're trees. They're trunks. And each of those sits in a base, so it can sort of be freestanding. And these are heavy things made out of metal. And then there's all the cross poles. There's all of the stakes that make sure that it stays up straight, all of this sort of stuff. They have to move all of it. Once again, we see that we are choosing the men who are 30 years to 50 years old. That means, again, part of this is that these are really heavy items that need to be carried. But also part of this is a recognition that they have their own tents, right? So it's likely that those men and women, right, who are under 30 years old are going to be doing most of the carrying of all of the tents of the Gershonites and Merarites and the Kohathites. They're making sure that they have all of that stuff that they need so that when they then set up this huge tabernacle, again, every single time they move, taking it down and then putting it back up again, that they can go home to their tent and fall asleep. So there's all of this stuff that's going on behind the scenes that we just don't see necessarily. We don't really pay attention to. And as we are going on and reading about them moving from one place to another, just remembering that there's all these people behind the scenes that make it happen. This is the case in theater. This is the case in church. This is in the case in everything that we do. All of the invisible people that are behind the scenes that do things so that we are able to operate. If you go to the grocery store, sure, there are people that you see who are working there and stocking, but there are people behind the scenes to make sure that that happens. There are countless delivery drivers. I think the average of a normal grocery store gets, I believe, 15 deliveries a day just to be able to keep open. So there's all of these people who are on trucks, who are getting those supplies to that grocery store and either putting it out or having, or just delivering it, and then it's put out by the people who work at the grocery store. You have all the people who are in charge of organizing all of those deliveries and making sure they have what they need and making sure they have the thing that you really need to make that recipe, and that there's enough stock and it's not out of date and all of those sorts of things. You've got all the people who then made and packaged that food. You have all of the farmers who grew it. You have all of these, and all of the people that they employ to pick the food. All of these things are going on and we just simply do not think about them. Mike Rowe has a great thing that he says, I'm addicted to the modern world. I'm addicted to toilets that flush when you do it. And I'm addicted to roads that aren't crazy bumpy. All of these people who do all of this work that we really don't think about. And especially as we consider, how do we care for one another? How do we make sure that everyone is provided for? It's important to remember those people who are invisible as well. Because oftentimes, those people who are most invisible are also not well compensated for their work. Some skilled laborers absolutely have, get paid well, and they should, right? But those people who pick vegetables or strawberries or whatever it is usually are paid subsistence. They're paid less than what is minimum. And even minimum, as we've discussed before, is not a living wage. Some of these folks were sort of highlighted in, during the pandemic, and we said, oh, essential workers, this is great. We're so thankful for you. But they're barely making it. And so as we seek to have solidarity, as we recognize that if the person who is standing on the hot street repaving so that our roads are maintained, yes, is it annoying that there's a bunch of them and most of them don't seem like they're working? Is it annoying that we have to stop and wait for them to let us through on that one lane? Yeah, sure. But we don't have what we have without them. We don't have the ability to just flip a light switch and make sure that light is there if we don't have all of the people who work in the electrical company to generate that power, to make sure that it's transferred, to do sometimes very dangerous work. And I believe our call as the people of God is to make sure that we're paying attention to those people, to make sure that they are provided for. That not just the doctors in our hospital, but also all the nurses and the attendants and the people who mop up really gross things and who run tests and all of those things. There are so many people that are at work in everything that we do. And it's important to pay attention to those people who make those things work. So I invite you to take some time to consider, to pray, to meditate, to journal. And when you're ready, we'll join our hearts together in prayer. Join me in a prayer for the life of the world. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. In the light of the moon and patterns of the stars, in scarred mountain rifts and ancient groves, in mighty seas and creatures of the deep. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. In the light of eyes we love, in the salt of tears we have tasted, in weathered countenances east and west, in the soft skin glow of the child everywhere. Whichever way we turn, O God, there is your face. There is your face among us. I invite you into a silent prayers for peace. Join me in a prayer for blessing. May heaven's guardians of night welcome us. May heaven's messengers of grace bless our dreams. May heaven's angels of compassion protect our sleep, that we may wake refreshed. That we may wake with eyes of wonder. That we may wake to the world's oneness. That we may wake to serve earth's heaven blessed oneness. Thank you for joining me today for daily prayer. Join us tomorrow for worship at 10:30, either in person or virtually, and join me tomorrow or on Monday for more daily prayer. Our liturgy today came from Prayers of Praying with the Earth, a prayer book for peace by John Philip Newell. Our reading came from the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. You can go to our website, standrewspc.com, for more information. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If you happen to be watching on the day this comes out, it is Fantastic Friday, giving sharks a voice, Free Trade Day, Iris Day, Military Spouse Appreciation Day, National Coconut Cream Pie Day, National Give Someone a Cupcake Day, National Have a Coke Day, National Public Gardens Day, National Student Nurses Day, No Socks Day, Provider Appreciation Day, Time of Remembrance and Reconciliation for those who lost their lives during the Second World War, Victory in Europe Day, World Ovarian Cancer Day, World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day. Thank you so much for joining me today. You can watch on YouTube, you can listen on podcasts, and you can do both on Substack. Thanks for joining me. Have a blessed day. We'll see you next time.